Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check the link in the upper right hand corner to my Patreon page. I'm here with a replay of a modern queue. I'm still in early stages of testing this Simic Merfolk build. I recently posted a deck tech video, so check that out if you haven't already. I explained in pretty great detail my decision-making process, explaining sort of how I got to the current shape of the deck. And yeah, it's been feeling really good so far. I'm definitely still testing. A ton of people are testing the new green Merfolk right now, and I'm really excited to see everybody's impressions. And, you know, ultimately, whether we decide to stick with blue-green or whether we just go back to good old mono blue. I have to say, it's really, really fun to be testing some new stuff. It's powerful, even if it might not be as powerful as mono blue. It's yet to be seen. But really, at the end of the day, Magic is a game. We all play it to have fun, and this is probably the most fun I've had in a while, trying out all these new cards. So you guys should do it if you haven't already started, because it's really just a blast. I get so used to our modern decks, you know, you just learn it inside and out, playing it day after day, and you grow to love it, of course, but it's just really exciting when you get to try something fresh once in a while. So again, I'm here with a replay. Let's have a look at the opening hand, see how it looked. This is pretty excellent. I would love to see an Aether Vial, but we're going to be able to have access to green mana. An early Metallic Mimic might power out a pretty explosive opening. Opponent is on the play, and they kept their 7. So it's burn. Pretty quick deck, getting in with the Goblin Guide on turn 1. We did not get a land. Instead, revealed another Metallic Mimic. Would have loved to see an Aether Vial on the top there. It's always great when you're on the draw without an Aether Vial, and then your first draw is an Aether Vial. That's like the best feeling in the world. So Island Go. Actually, it would have been much smarter to play Rainforest Go, I guess, and get a tapped breeding pool. I'm still kind of a noob when it comes to fetch lands and shock lands. I mean, I know how they work, and I play them correctly most of the time, but every now and then I just have a little brain fart. But it looks like the opponent has the nuts here, like double Goblin Guide opening, hitting their land drops. So again, not getting a land off the Goblin Guides, no value for me, tons of value for the opponent. We did not want another Island Walk Lord in this spot. Okay. Suspending a Rift Bolt, and so, you know, normally we want to lead with Mimics. I've said that over and over again. But since we're just trying to chump here, there's really no reason to throw the Mimic out. Like, let's get Silvergill on board, and maybe we'll hit an Aether Vial. I'm not even sure it matters at this point. You know, Spreading Seas, all these 2-drops, pretty slow. Really, we want to see an Aether Vial or a couple of 1-drops in our opening hand. Rift Bolt comes off Suspend. Opponent's certainly going to go to my face with this. I uploaded a Naya video already, and it seemed like that opponent may have been a little inexperienced, but this guy, I think, was more experienced. He seemed to understand the dynamics of burn a little bit better than the guy in the other video. So it looks like we got a Mutavault off of that, and then we saw Branchwalker, so no 1-drop still. Definitely no Aether Vials. Okay, I'm going to try to trade with this Goblin Guide here. So this is the absolute nuts. So I don't even get to trade with a Goblin Guide. The Guide's going to eat my Silvergill Adept. I'm going to take 3 from the Autarchus command, 3 from the other Guide, and I'm just absolutely toast here. Opponent's not even hitting their life total too hard. They've just got like painless lands. Suspending a Rift Bolt with 2 Goblin Guides on board. I just had to scoop it up. 9 cards in hand. Can't do a single thing. All these 2-drops. Wow. All right. So that was the nut draw against Burn in game 1. Look away if you don't want to see the match result. I'm going to click out of the window now. Normally we have a little bit more breathing room to develop, but really nothing we could do against that double Goblin Guide, Autarchus command opening. I'll be on the play this time, though, which is obviously much better. Double Spell Pierce is solid, again with no 1-drop creatures, but we can't mulligan a double Spell Pierce hand against Burn. So this time I do open up with the Misty Rainforest. We're going to get a tapped Stomping Grounds unless we need to use a Spell Pierce. Well, I said Stomping Grounds. I meant Breeding Pool. He plays an untapped Stomping Grounds. Well, he goes for Lava Spike, so I think I'm going to go grab untapped Breeding Pool. A little scary against Burn. The logic a little bit strange because I took 3 to get this to prevent this damage, but I was going to take 1 from the fetch anyway, so I'm going to be at 17 after this turn instead of 16, and I'll have a Breeding Pool on the table. So, possible that I should have let that resolve, gone to 16, and kept both Spell Pierces in hand. I don't know. It's a difficult call there. What would you guys have done there? Would you have taken the 3 from Lava Spike and kept the Spell Pierce in hand? Or just take 2 from Breeding Pool and use 1 of your Spell Pierces. It felt sort of reasonable to be efficient with my mana and use 1 of the Spell Pierces there. But in hindsight, I only saved 1 point of damage, so maybe not that good. Branchwalker was excellent because if the opponent is going to Searing Blaze something next turn, let them Searing Blaze a Branchwalker. All right, so you see another Branchwalker. I'll leave that guy up there. Branchwalker entered as a 3/2, scryed another good card, so doing an excellent job. Here is the Sacred Foundry, and yep, there's the Searing Blaze. Always sucks, but next turn we'll have mana up with Spell Pierce. So Cavern and Mutavault, going to be able to cast Branchwalker. Now, interesting to note, I'm not playing Cavern anymore in my list. It's so important that in games 2 and 3 we have colored access. Access to colored mana for our sideboard spells. So I'm fortunate that I had this Breeding Pool, but imagine that I didn't, I would be stuck with an amazing Spell Pierce in hand that I can't even cast. So just very fortunate to have access to that single blue and green mana in this game. Harbinger is narrow. I've got creatures in hand. I think I might have scryed this guy away. What did I do with him? Yeah, he went to the graveyard. We'd rather draw more counter magic at this point. Maybe even another land would be great. Opponent has a 3rd land, and it looks like they're going for Searing Blaze. So one of these main deck Spell Pierces is going to be excellent here. One's going to crack that fetch land and go after the Branchwalker with a Lightning Bolt. So that will resolve, but 6 points of damage being prevented here to my face by casting Spell Pierce. All right, feeling pretty good. The opponent's down to 3 cards. I'm still at 14 life. Another Island Walk Lord, so it's time to start pushing these guys. Hopefully the opponent is out of Searing Blazes. Okay, Shrine of Burning Rage is super duper slow. Silvergill Adept, I think we play that guy, hopefully draw land. Swing for 2, opponent will go down to 13. And let's see what we can get off of this guy. Reveal one of the Island Walk Lords, and that is absolutely perfect. No pain, just an island. I guess I was being actually really conservative this game. Possible that the opponent sideboards in 1 or 2 Anger of the Gods. I need to sort of research Naya Burn's sideboards to see if any of them play Pyroclasm or Anger of the Gods ever. I know they run creatures of their own. But it might make sense out of the board against aggressive decks. So I was really conservative there. I was hoping to hit a land, and I did. Let's see, if I played this Lord, I would have probably lethal next turn, right? It would be 4, 5, and 4. Yeah, that's exactly lethal. So probably more conservative than I should have been. Opponent is going to Lightning Helix that Lord, so again, it would have been great if I had another Lord on the table. I'm just going to sort of admit that was a straight-up misstep, especially given this particular list's penchant for aggressiveness. All right, here's this Lord. I'm going to play a Kumena's Speaker, but we can wait until second main to do that, right? Okay, bringing the opponent back down to 13 after that Lightning Helix. And let's get this Kumena Speaker out now. In response, the opponent's going to Boros Charm me. Timing doesn't really matter. All right, Shrine ticks up. The opponent could use it now, but it looks like they're going to just Rift Bolt my Lord. Playing pretty defensively here. So drew a Cursecatcher, play that guy out. Opponent didn't have anything to use before I cast that. Follow up with the Lord and swing for 6. So 2-turn clock from this point. That Shrine isn't really going to stop very much if they tap 3 of their mana to unload all those counters. Say hitting my Lord, I'd still have 7 points of damage, so... they just passed the turn. I'm going to activate Mutavault and get in. Now, the opponent told me they should have gone for the win earlier. I think if they didn't remove my creatures as they did, they would have just died sooner. I could have played out an extra Lord and probably won a little bit sooner. Again, learning the deck with every match. That was game 2, I think. I lost game 1 to those Goblin Guides. Look away if you don't want to see the match result. All right, back with game 3. Let's see how the opening hand looked. So that's really, really good. We've got our green mana, we've got our Aether Vial, we've got a counter spell. Lavamancer, a little scary, but we'll see how it goes. I think the opponent mulliganed there, so let's check what he did with his mulligan. Put a card on top. Mulligan to 6 with a card on top. Not too bad for the opponent. I take 2 from the breeding pool, play on Aether Vial, and hope the opponent doesn't have a Destructive Revelry right now. Crack the fetch land. They work really well with Lavamancer, put things in the graveyard. Okay, Shrine of Burning Rage. Not too afraid of that, since our deck is pretty fast. Opponent gets in with the Lavamancer. Makes sense. We'll take that Vial up. Natural State is cool, because I can kill the Shrine. We are short on mana here, but it's not a terrible situation. We just pass the turn, I think. We sort of respond to whatever the opponent does this turn. So starting off with a Lava Spike, nothing we can do about that as it's a sorcery, so just let it resolve. We go down to 14. Opponent does have 2 things in the yard now to be able to activate Lavamancer, but it looks like he might want to attack here. Let's see. Does not. That's actually interesting. I guess he didn't want to trade with a Cursecatcher. He probably doesn't know about Speaker, but Speaker could have just eaten him. I'm going to take this opportunity to, well, I'll bring in a creature. At this point, with the opponent low on mana, go ahead. Let's see. I've got the, what's the thought process here? I guess we want to be aggressive, right? So bring in the Speaker. I'm going to destroy with Natural State the Shrine. And we'll still have Dispel up this turn. I'm going to take our... Well, the opponent is doing something during my upkeep in response to Aether Vial. Okay, so they're just going to take care of this Speaker. Makes sense, getting value off of the Lavamancer. I've got 2 drops, so I'm going to want to take Aether Vial up. Botanical Sanctum is excellent. It's painless, so I'll go ahead and get that out. And I'll play Cursecatcher rather than a 2-drop, of course, because I have Dispel in hand. Now, I could have played... Maybe it was correct to play the Mimic with Aether Vial and then play the Cursecatcher. In hindsight, that was probably correct, right? Because I was going to leave Dispel up anyway. You know, we're so used to the patterns of our deck. I always wait to end step for Aether Vial, but sometimes it's just correct to do it during your main phase. I mean, in this case, I had a land, so no real reason, a land and a counterspell, so no real reason to play Silvergill Adept. I didn't really need to draw a card right then. But it would have been solid to bring a Metallic Mimic and make Cursecatcher a 2/2. Well, anyhow, let's see what the opponent did in response. So there's another Shrine. Again, very slow. Opponent doesn't have enough in the graveyard to activate Lavamancer. He doesn't have mana anyway. So yeah, it would have been correct to bring in the Mimic ahead of time. So we'll get him in now. We'll be able to continue to hold up Dispel. Well, there's Spell Pierce, which is great. We're going to attack with both of these guys. If he wants to trade with the Lavamancer, that's fine, but I really doubted that he was going to. All right. So activating Aether Vial, bringing in Silvergill because, as I mentioned, it can be correct to main phase Aether Vial because in this case we might draw land, which would let us play Branchwalker and leave up mana for counter magic. We drew Kumena Speaker, which is another way to use our mana and still leave up counter magic. So developing our board really nicely, Kumena Speaker enters as a 3/3, Silvergill as a 3/2. So hopefully you guys are seeing some of the value that Mimic gives to this deck. I've heard people complaining that it's a poor top deck if you've got a few creatures out and you play Mimic. Yeah, it doesn't buff your team, that's fine, but Mimic is in the deck to make it more explosive in turns 3, 4, and 5. You play Mimic on turn 2, and then all of your creatures are gigantic, even if the Mimic leaves the board. So here's some proof in this particular match that it works pretty well. All right, so here is a lightning bolt going after my speaker. I had to think about it, but I decided to dispel that because we're developing a nice board and we want to preserve it. Now, if he killed the speaker with the bolt, he would have then killed either the Mimic or the Silvergill with Lavamancer. As it stands, now he can only get rid of one of my creatures. He does go after the Mimic, so this guy is pretty good. I mean, Mimic is the right choice. But we've got great stuff. So I'm gonna main phase my Branchwalker. Maybe we get another land. So let's see what the Explore reveals. It does give us a land. Not that important. We can play our Aether Vial and have mana up for Spell Pierce. We do get to swing in for 7. Now note that if the Mimic had been a Lord, these guys would have gone back to being 2 and 2 power. But because of the Mimic's counters, they're still 3 power, which is really excellent. So the opponent is going to go down to, 5. And yeah, we've got lethal for next turn with counter magic backup. So he's going for a lightning bolt on our biggest creature, the 3/3. And I've got the Spell Pierce, that's what it's for. That goes to the graveyard. Opponent does get a counter on the Shrine, but they don't have anywhere near enough mana to activate that thing yet. So I haven't played Spell Pierce in a really long time in Modern Merfolk, and so I have to say I've made some pretty noobish plays with Spell Pierce, like choosing not to counter something like a Bolt, or rather, like a Path to Exile because I'm waiting to get more value by countering a Collected Company. But once the opponent has too much mana, Spell Pierce becomes useless. So if you have mana up, you typically want to use Spell Pierce as soon as possible, the first opportunity that presents itself. So pretty easy decision to counter the Lightning Bolt there. Opponent has a Goblin Guide to follow up. So sorry if you guys can hear some vacuuming noise. Somebody vacuuming in the distance. So if the opponent blocks my 2 big guys, they'd only be taking 3 here. Leave Aether Vial on 2, take this one up to 1. But we drew a Lord, so I'm going to get in. The opponent can block if they want, however they want. We have the win here with the Lord, so smile that guy in and swing for 3 and 2. Opponent takes 5 exactly, and that was the match. So let's see. I think we destroyed one of the opponent's shrines with Natural State. That was pretty good. Of course, they never got to 3 mana where they would have been able to actually use the shrines. Kind of a weird card, the Shrine. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Have you been burned by it? Has it done a good job against you? Metallic Mimic was excellent. And yeah, we got there against Naya Burn again. Please let me know your thoughts. Check out the link to my Patreon page if you'd like to support my channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks very much.